The observation deck of Zhar'Vek Station hovered in silent orbit above the fractured moon, a skeletal satellite carved from blackened rock and corroded alloys. The stars beyond were cold, indifferent witnesses to the galaxy's infinite machinations. Yet tonight, something flickered, a distortion in the void that drew every sensor, every eye, every thought of the alien emissaries. The transmission arrived suddenly, cutting through the habitual static. At first, it was assumed to be background interference, perhaps a solar anomaly or a quark burst. But the pattern was deliberate. It pulsed with a rhythm not mechanical but organic, deliberate but chaotic. The frequencies carried tones of emotion, fear, defiance, a strange mixture of hope and desperation that no machine could fabricate. The aliens leaned closer, scanning, analyzing, their segmented eyes reflecting the oscillating signal. "This is impossible," murmured Elder Karen, his vocal modulators trembling. The energy signatures so primitive yet alive. The council gathered around the central console, a circle of pale, elongated forms, their limbs trembling with anticipation and dread. Each probe into the data revealed more anomalies, patterns of communication, not noise, coordination, not randomness, purpose, not instinct. The humans, this fragile species, their bodies soft, their vessels crude, spoke across light years with a clarity that defied logic. They were unarmed in cosmic terms, yet they radiated a strength the aliens had not measured. Calculations predicted fragility, vulnerability, submission, but the signal mocked those predictions. Every pulse carried intent, every oscillation demanded recognition. Whispers rippled through the council chambers. Could beings so primitive possess such unyielding will? The thought was heresy. The emissaries had catalogued countless species, yet none had ignited such a tremor of apprehension. Eyes widened, antennae quivered, and the usually stoic council fell silent under the weight of a dawning fear. Outside, the fractured moon cast jagged shadows across the station's hull, shadows that seemed to dance in rhythm with the human transmission. It was a species unafraid of the void, unafraid of the cosmos itself. Their message carried more than data. It carried a declaration that they would not bend, that they would not yield. Elder Karin's voice broke the silence, a low vibration that echoed through the chamber. "We are being observed by a force we cannot contain, cannot predict, and yet they are alive. They are sentient in ways our sensors cannot quantify." The council fell into tense deliberation, but every mind was haunted by the same question. If calculations failed here, what else would fail? Above them, the transmission pulsed again, brighter, more insistent, as if daring the aliens to underestimate it. And in that moment, a single, undeniable truth settled like ice in the emissaries' minds. This species would carve its own path through the stars, indifferent to anything the galaxy had ever known or feared. A sudden spike in the signal made the station shudder. The alien monitors flickered, and a new pattern emerged, an unmistakable sequence, almost like a challenge. Eyes widened. The council realized, in unison and in horror, that they were witnessing the first spark of something far larger than themselves, something that would not wait for them to prepare. The humans had spoken, and the galaxy had no choice but to listen. The alien armada glided through the black void, a mechanical tide of obsidian hulls and glowing engines, each ship bristling with weapons designed to impose order on any defiant world. Calculations were precise, battle simulations flawless. Submission was expected. Resistance was statistically negligible. Yet, as the outer sensors of the flagship Zhar'Vek pierced the orbit of the human homeworld, the first anomalies appeared. Orbital defenses, massive platforms that shimmered with energy fields, blocked predicted pathways. Satellites moved in patterns that defied the standard algorithms. Subterranean bunkers, invisible to the initial scans, opened in rapid succession, launching countermeasures with uncanny precision. Every measure the aliens had calculated to guarantee dominance was met with a human response that seemed improvised yet flawless. Elder Karin's segmented eyes narrowed. "They are adapting faster than we can model." His antennae twitched with tension, sensing the unease spreading across the bridge. Each new report from scouting drones added to the unease. Human ships appearing where none should be, evading patrols with near prescience, counterattacking in ways the aliens could not anticipate. One report froze the entire command cluster. A lone human fighter ship, battered and scarred, tore through the blockade of hundreds of autonomous drones, dodging fire that should have obliterated it. Every evasive maneuver, every precision strike seemed improvised yet unnervingly accurate. Commanders recalculated trajectories, adjusted their targeting protocols, and failed repeatedly. "Impossible," muttered Lieutenant Zhar'Vek, his exoskeletal fingers dancing across the controls. They should not survive even a fraction of this engagement. From the alien vantage, it became evident that the humans were not merely defending, they were orchestrating chaos with a clarity of purpose. Their coordination hinted at collective strategy, intelligence that exceeded any single individual and yet flowed seamlessly across the population. Each human unit reinforced others, improvised on the fly, and turned disadvantage into opportunity. The council chambers on Zhar'Vek erupted in tension. Holographic simulations of the planetary defenses flickered across the room, each iteration failing to predict the human response. Debates turned to panic. One faction demanded immediate escalation. Another counseled restraint, but all were haunted by the same unsettling realization. The humans were evolving faster than the aliens could anticipate. Reports poured in from orbital reconnaissance. Decoy ships masking the approach of larger fleets. Energy shields timed to pulse precisely as alien missiles approached. Subterranean rail systems delivering rapid response teams at critical points. Every tactic relied on unconventional logic, forcing alien commanders to abandon decades of doctrine. A senior strategist, normally composed, erupted in frustration. "Our methods, every one of them, are ineffective. They anticipate, they adapt, they endure. How can a species so primitive?" His question hung in the air, unanswered. The answer was visible in every signal, every drone destroyed, every human fighter that danced through the void. These creatures were not merely resilient. They were a force of nature, wild and unpredictable, shaped by a world that had demanded ingenuity and courage in every moment of survival. Even the sensors recorded anomalies in human psychology, a relentless drive to act despite overwhelming odds, a refusal to submit to logic or threat, a strange energy that the aliens could not quantify. The humans' resilience was both tactical and existential. Every calculated strike against them was met with improvisation. Every assumption about their weakness was shattered. A single transmission from the human planetary network intercepted by the aliens confirmed their fears. Coordinated messages, precise instructions and directives sent with urgency and clarity, an intelligence operating across an entire species. From the alien point of view, it was no longer war or invasion. It was an encounter with a mind that was collective, adaptive, and indomitable. Then it happened. Another human fighter ship emerged from a decoy fleet, appearing in the blind spot of the alien armada, and struck at a critical weapons platform. The explosion lit the void in shimmering fire. A reminder that the humans did not merely fight, they dictated the terms of engagement. Elder Karin's voice vibrated through the bridge. "Prepare simulations." "All of them. But I suspect nothing we have will predict their next move." The alien commanders stared at the glowing remnants of the destroyed platform, understanding with growing horror that the humans were rewriting the rules of the encounter. A species so underestimated, so fragile by every metric, had become the axis upon which the battle, and perhaps the galaxy, would pivot. In that moment, the Armada hesitated, suspended in a void of uncertainty. They had believed in inevitability. Now they faced a reality that defied expectation. Humans were not a species to be subdued. They were a storm on the horizon, unstoppable, unpredictable, and terrifyingly alive. And somewhere deep within the planetary defenses, the humans prepared their next move. The alien envoy descended through Earth's atmosphere like a blade of obsidian, cutting a path of calculated intent toward the planet's surface. Sensors had predicted compliance, ritualistic obeisance, the lowering of heads, the trembling of limbs, the quiet surrender of a primitive species. Instead, what met them was defiance. The landing zone was a tableau of human ingenuity, fields lined with energy disruptions, camouflage structures blending seamlessly with terrain, and psychological traps that confused the instruments of alien perception. The humans waited, unhidden yet unseen. Their presence communicated through signals and sensors that the aliens struggled to interpret. Commander Valesh's segmented eyes widened, reflecting streams of unreadable code. They are aware. They anticipated our descent. His voice was a vibration, trembling with both awe and unease. Reports streamed in. Automated defense systems executed maneuvers as if they knew the envoy's every vector. Electromagnetic fields pulsed in countermeasure patterns, and yet the humans themselves walked openly, unarmed, their confidence unshaken. A delegation of humans approached, figures small, fragile, yet emanating authority. Their leader, a human diplomat with piercing eyes and a posture that defied intimidation, spoke without hesitation. "We recognize your arrival," he said, voice resonant and clear. "But we will not cower. We demand respect, not mercy. Any threat against our world will be met with resistance." The alien observers recoiled. Communication like this, bold, unapologetic, assertive, was unprecedented. No species had ever addressed them with such clarity of purpose, and the envoy felt the first ripple of unease. Every step taken by the humans seemed calculated yet instinctive, a balance between courage and survival that the aliens could not fully quantify. Encounters escalated quickly. Attempts to probe human defenses met with unexpected precision. Psychological traps, bluffs, decoys, and strategic displays turned alien tactics against themselves. Human forces predicted movements, exploited openings, and improvised countermeasures with an uncanny efficiency. Each success amplified the aliens' perception of human ingenuity, leaving the envoy scrambling to comprehend their adaptability. Reports to the Council chronicled the unnerving patterns, the humans' collective memory, their historical narratives, the survival of countless generations shaping a species that learned not just from experience, but from stories, warnings, and triumphs encoded in their culture. The aliens observed how these lessons were applied with instinctive precision in real time. Desperation became strategy, weakness became opportunity, and chaos became a tool. The envoy recorded every moment, the voice modulators trembling with the weight of recognition. Humans did not merely react, they anticipated, they corrected, they shaped the encounter itself. Negotiation, once thought the ultimate tool of compliance, would achieve nothing. The humans would bend only to consequence, and even then, only on their terms. Then came the moment that unsettled the envoy most. In the Central Council chamber established on Earth, the human diplomat stepped forward, unarmed and unflinching. His gaze swept the assembly of alien emissaries, piercing, commanding, unwavering. "We will not be reduced to numbers nor to predictions. We are not a species to be coerced. Our will is ours alone." The alien eyes tracked every micro-expression, every subtle shift in posture, every inflection in tone. They noticed a unity, a resilience, a confidence that transcended individual capability. The diplomat was more than a leader. He was the embodiment of an entire species' will, distilled into a singular presence. Even the most seasoned alien observers shuddered at the clarity of his authority. Attempts at subtle manipulation failed instantly. Every probe into human intent was met with precise countermeasures, subtle yet effective, demonstrating that the humans had not only learned to survive, they had learned to dominate the terms of engagement without violence. Each interaction revealed patterns the aliens could not anticipate, a species that turned desperation into leverage and fear into strategy. The envoy's report concluded with a single, chilling statement. The humans cannot be negotiated into submission. They cannot be intimidated by threat. They will act only according to their own measure, guided by principles beyond our comprehension, and shaped by consequences that the cosmos cannot impose. As the envoy retreated, scanning the perimeter, The humans' quiet confidence lingered like an echo. Every alien sensor recorded it, yet no algorithm could quantify it. And deep in the observation chambers, Elder Karin recorded the first seeds of fear. A realization that the humans were not merely a species. They were a force that would dictate terms in ways the galaxy had never seen. The envoy transmitted the final note to the Council. Humanity will not bow. Prepare for unpredictability, and somewhere in the shadows of the landing zone, the humans prepared the next stage of their challenge, leaving the alien envoys to wonder how far this indomitable species could push the bounds of expectation. The void beyond the human system was no longer empty. It was a battlefield of improvisation and chaos. Alien sensors, designed to calculate and predict, flickered with confusion. Every engagement defied expectation. The humans were outnumbered. Yet every maneuver suggested coordination, ingenuity, and an instinctive understanding of their adversary's psychology. From the alien flagship Zhar'Vek, Commander Velesh watched the reports streaming in, segments of his mind vibrating with tension. Human frigates emerged from cosmic anomalies, stellar dust clouds and magnetic eddies, rendering them nearly invisible. They struck, disabled, and vanished before the alien tracking arrays could respond. Weapons redirected mid-battle as if guided by intuition, lasers and rail cannons repurposed in moments to neutralize larger vessels. The envoy's logs described it as artistry masquerading as chaos. Field commanders reported a sight that made the Alien Council's optics widen in disbelief. Small human squadrons infiltrating massive formations, disabling power cores, severing communication nodes, and retreating with precise timing that left alien admirals scrambling. Every loss the humans endured seemed to fuel a counterattack more daring than the last. Their resilience was not calculated. It was innate, instinctive, terrifying in its consistency. Simulations in the Zhar'Vek chambers failed repeatedly. Data models, probability matrices, predictive algorithms. Every tool designed to anticipate combat outcomes faltered against human unpredictability. Each human maneuver, seemingly chaotic from the alien perspective, carried purpose and strategy that no algorithm could quantify. The humans adapted mid-conflict, improvising with a fluidity the aliens could neither anticipate nor control. Reports of human ingenuity spread like a virus through the alien armada. Vessels using gravitational anomalies as cover, deploying decoys with timing that bordered on precognition, converting battlefield debris into lethal weapons. What had begun as a systematic campaign of conquest became a series of reactive maneuvers, as alien commanders struggled to adjust to an opponent who dictated the terms of engagement without hesitation. Elder Karin observed the simulations flickering across the Central Council chamber, his limbs trembling with a mixture of awe and fear. They endure, they adapt, they anticipate even our adaptations, he murmured, his antennae quivering in alarm. The Council, usually confident in their dominion over lesser species, recognized the pattern too late. Humans were not just surviving, they were rewriting the rules of engagement in real time. A human strike team breached an alien cruiser, exploiting weaknesses previously deemed impossible. Explosions shimmered across the void, as if the stars themselves bore witness. The aliens' precise formations crumbled under tactics that lacked conventional logic, yet functioned with horrifying efficiency. Every maneuver tested the limits of alien doctrine. Every retreat revealed the humans' capacity to regroup, reorganize, and strike back with renewed intensity. Even among the most experienced commanders, horror mingled with awe. "They are a force we cannot suppress," whispered a lieutenant, his tone trembling. The humans' resilience was beyond physical. They possessed a tenacity that transcended fear, loss, and apparent impossibility. Each engagement was a testament to survival, courage, and instinct honed by generations who had thrived against overwhelming odds. The galaxy's hierarchy, once assumed unshakable, trembled under the revelation. Humans were no longer a minor species, an expected obstacle to be crushed. They had become a catalyst, a spark of unpredictability that inspired both fear and grudging admiration among the alien ranks. The Council's projections faltered, their confidence eroded. For the first time in millennia, the aliens faced a foe whose potential could not be measured by numbers, firepower, or doctrine. And as the void roared with the pulse of battle, a single human frigate emerged from the wreckage of a destroyed squadron, signaling, coordinating, and directing its companions with a precision that belied their numbers. From the alien perspective, it was not war. It was an awakening. Commander Valesh's voice vibrated across the fleet. Every calculation has failed. They endure, they improvise, and they will not stop. Above the chaos, the stars themselves seemed to bear witness to a species rewriting the very rules of combat. Humanity, fragile by all metrics yet indomitable in spirit, had become an anomaly that the galaxy could no longer ignore. The next engagement loomed, and the Council understood with a chill certainty. The humans would continue to defy expectation. The orbital battlefield shimmered with fire and energy, a storm of metal and plasma twisting against the void. The alien armada, vast and meticulously ordered, assumed dominance. Their formations were precise, their firepower overwhelming, their strategy flawless, or so they believed. From the observation deck of Zhar'Vek, the alien council watched with growing disbelief. A small human fleet, diminutive in comparison, surged into the fray with a confidence that defied probability. Ships dove into trajectories that no calculation deemed survivable, weaving through the armada like threads of living light. Explosions rippled in their wake, yet the vessels pressed forward, resilient, unyielding. Lieutenant Varrock's voice vibrated with tension across the bridge. They disregard every expectation. They engage as though destruction strengthens them. The Council, long accustomed to predicting the flow of battle, could not comprehend the audacity before them. Kamikaze tactics, previously considered suicidal, were executed with surgical precision. A single vessel would sacrifice itself, disabling critical alien systems, while the rest exploited the chaos with unerring accuracy. Each human loss was transformed into leverage. Fleet commanders noted that casualties were never wasted. Each setback inspired countermeasures. Each breach led to innovation. Communications occurred across multiple channels simultaneously. Visual, subspace signals encoded civilian networks, blurring the line between military and civilian strategy. The aliens struggled to decode the coordination. It was not chaos. It was instinctive brilliance. Elder Karin's antennae quivered as reports streamed in. "They do not operate from fear," he murmured, his segmented eyes reflecting the fracturing simulation grids. "Their actions are driven by will, by survival, by an unyielding certainty that they will endure." In the midst of orbital debris and firestorms, humans exploited the alien armada's rigid hierarchy. Ships broke formation with impunity, yet movements were perfectly synchronized. Predictive models failed. Every strategy the aliens devised was anticipated and countered with uncanny timing. Commanders began doubting their doctrine. Could a species so fragile, so unpredictable, truly orchestrate such complex maneuvers with precision and cohesion? A squadron of human fighters executed a daring strike, threading through a concentrated barrage, bypassing defensive turrets, and colliding with the core of an alien dreadnought. The explosion radiated outward, disrupting the formation and sending cascading failures through the armada. Alien strategists panicked, attempting to adapt, yet the humans had already shifted tactics, exploiting every opening as though it had been designed for them. Reports highlighted civilian contributions, relay networks maintaining communications, mining vessels converted into rapid response craft, and automated systems integrated seamlessly into military maneuvers. The human species functioned as a singular organism, a unity of purpose that the aliens could not parse. It was coordination on a level that transcended conventional military logic. The Council's deliberations faltered as simulations repeatedly failed. For the first time in recorded history, alien leaders confronted uncertainty, not the calculated uncertainty of probability, but the raw, terrifying possibility of defeat. Humanity's resilience was incomprehensible. It was not just skill or bravery, it was the cumulative weight of history, instinct, and an unshakable belief in survival. The battle reached a crescendo. Explosions illuminated the void, reflecting across the alien observation windows. Ships spun, collided, and detonated, yet humans pressed forward, improvising with every movement. Where alien logic anticipated retreat, humans adapted. Where it demanded surrender, they retaliated. Chaos itself became a weapon in their hands. Elder Karin recorded in the council log, "We have underestimated them. Every loss, every setback strengthens them. We are witnessing the impossible, an intelligence, a will, a species that converts adversity into supremacy." As the final moments of the engagement approached, human ingenuity and courage overpowered superior numbers and firepower. A critical orbital nexus fell into their control, turning the tide of battle in ways the aliens could not predict. The Armada, once confident, faltered. Commanders questioned their own assumptions, their authority undermined by the very species they had intended to subjugate. From the alien perspective, it was as if the laws of the cosmos had bent in favor of humanity. Instinct and intuition triumphed over calculation and doctrine. And above all, the void itself seemed to hum with acknowledgement. These creatures were no ordinary adversaries. They were resolute, adaptive, and terrifyingly alive. The humans held the battlefield. The aliens, shaken and recalibrating, understood with chilling clarity the war had shifted. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They had seized control through audacity, resilience, and a collective will that the galaxy had never seen, and the outcome remained far from certain. As the last human frigates maneuvered to consolidate their position, a new signal rippled across alien sensors, unintelligible yet unmistakable. The humans were preparing the next phase. The Council felt it viscerally. The storm had only just begun. The central council chamber of Zhar'Vek, usually a bastion of discipline and calculated deliberation, now trembled under tension. Holographic displays flickered with real-time battle data from Earth's orbit, each feed a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Elder Karin's antenna quivered as the council convened, their elongated forms casting long shadows across the polished obsidian floor. "Containment strategies have failed," intoned Commander Valesh, voice resonating through the chamber. "Simulations predict collapse. They anticipate, adapt, and exploit every weakness we observe." Debate erupted. Some council members demanded negotiation, an appeal to reason, a path to coercion through diplomacy. Others called for annihilation, a purge of the species before their unpredictability could escalate further. But reports from the field were consistent. Humans did not negotiate with terrorists, nor did they yield under threat. Every attempt to intimidate or manipulate had been met with defiance, often coordinated and precise. The chamber's atmosphere thickened. Whispers of unease spread among the delegates, first subtle, then louder, until panic was audible in vibrations of limbs and clicks of mandibles. "How can we predict them?" one voice hissed. "Every model, every algorithm—" "Meaningless!" Elder Karin tapped a claw against the console. "They are beyond comprehension. Our doctrine fails at every turn. A species so small, so seemingly fragile, yet capable of orchestrating resistance that defies probability." His words hung like shards in the chamber, and for the first time, council members felt the stirrings of genuine fear. Faction leaders argued bitterly. One faction advocated retreat, a concept heretical in the lexicon of Zhar'Vek, where withdrawal was considered dishonor worse than death. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Human tactics had shattered formations, disrupted command hierarchies, and undermined centuries of strategic confidence. Retreat was no longer an insult. It was survival. Observers from the outer rim reported a new phenomenon. The humans' collective will seemed to amplify with adversity. Losses did not weaken them, they galvanized them. Casualties fueled ingenuity. Threats sharpened strategy. The Council's simulations, once the backbone of planning, now failed catastrophically at every scenario, unable to model instinct, adaptability, or courage encoded across generations. Panic threaded through the chamber like a living organism. Antennae quivered, eyes widened, mandibles clicked in anxious repetition. Alien leaders realized with a cold shock that these humans were not a calculable entity. They were a force of nature, a species whose persistence and ingenuity carried almost mystical weight, capable of toppling empires if underestimated. Even the most stoic advisors conceded a growing dread. Humans did not act according to fear, logic, or coercion. They acted according to principle and survival, in ways that no alien doctrine could predict. The notion of control, once a certainty, evaporated. Elder Karin's segmented eyes scanned the chamber, noting the fractures in allegiance, the rise of panic where reason should have prevailed. We are witnessing a species that cannot be bent by threat, cannot be subdued by calculation. Their perseverance is anomalous, dangerous, and we are unprepared. Reports continued to arrive, each compounding the Council's unease. Orbital battles shifted in favor of humans. Ground operations executed with unerring precision. Civilian networks reinforcing military maneuvers seamlessly. Every prediction had failed. Every assumption had crumbled. Finally, a silence fell, heavy and suffocating. The Council had always been the ultimate arbiter of power. Now it was fractured, uncertain, haunted by the revelation that the humans were not merely opponents. They were a species whose determination transcended comprehension. Elder Karin's voice vibrated low, almost a whisper, but it carried across the chamber. Prepare for all contingencies, though I fear we will have no contingency that can truly contain them. And as the Council struggled to regroup, the humans, oblivious to alien panic, prepared for the next decisive phase, ready to turn every weakness, every hesitation, into an opportunity. The alien armada drifted in disarray, hulls scarred and formations fractured by the relentless human offensive. Once pristine vectors were now jagged patterns of retreat and collision. The Council's confidence, shattered in previous engagements, had descended into dismay. From the observation deck of Zhar'Vek, commanders watched humanity's next move with growing horror. The human counteroffensive began like a storm, silent at first, then impossible to ignore. Small fleets emerged from unexpected trajectories, skimming asteroid fields, using gravitational eddies for cover, and striking from blind spots the aliens had deemed secure. Improvised weapons, jury-rigged from civilian and military technology alike, disabled entire sections of alien cruisers in seconds. Each strike was unpredictable, chaotic, yet executed with precision that betrayed instinctive brilliance. Reports streamed in, energy nets redirected, drones hijacked mid-flight, ion cannons repurposed to fracture shields. Every loss the humans sustained became a lesson, incorporated into the next wave of attacks. The aliens began to see a pattern in the chaos, a terrifying adaptability. Humanity did not falter. It evolved, Elder Karin observed, antennae quivering. They are not deterred by destruction. Every casualty strengthens them. Their determination, it is a contagion. Across the Council chamber, alien leaders struggled to maintain composure. Never had a species transformed adversity into tactical advantage so consistently. The humans struck with a duality the aliens could not fathom. Precision paired with audacity. Fighter squadrons dove into plasma fire, their maneuvers seemingly suicidal, yet every strike incapacitated critical alien systems. Civilian networks integrated into military operations, relaying data, coordinating reinforcements, and maintaining logistics with near telepathic efficiency. From the alien perspective, the humans were a storm, chaotic, overwhelming, relentless, yet devastatingly exact in their impact. Alien commanders attempted to regroup, to reassert control, but coordination faltered. The Armada's hierarchy, once rigid and flawless, became a liability. Human tactics exploited hesitation, indecision, and predictable response patterns. Each failure further emboldened the attackers, eroding morale and undermining confidence. The Council convened in emergency deliberation. "They are not a quirk of evolution," one advisor murmured, voice vibrating with disbelief. "This persistence, this will to survive. It is an advantage beyond our understanding." Every projection failed to account for human ingenuity, for their ability to convert loss into power, fear into courage. Alien doctrine had no answer. Above the chaos, The void shimmered with explosions, energy pulses, and maneuvering vessels. Humanity pressed relentlessly, adapting mid-battle, predicting counterattacks with uncanny foresight, exploiting every weakness with ruthless efficiency. Each strike seemed less an act of war and more an assertion of existence, a declaration that they would not yield, that they would not be subdued. Elder Karin's segmented eyes scanned the battlefield, and he recorded a revelation that resonated through the council chambers. The humans could not be subjugated, coerced, or predicted. Their resilience was existential, woven into the very fabric of their species. They demanded not only recognition but respect. Failure to grant either could mean annihilation. In the midst of the carnage, a final sequence unfolded. Human squadrons converged on the flagship of the alien fleet. Improvised weapons tore through shields, fracturing command nodes. Alien responses were fragmented, confused, ineffective. The storm of humanity, chaotic yet precise, overwhelmed superior numbers and firepower. For the first time, the aliens truly understood the magnitude of what they faced. This species was not just defiant, it was exceptional. Their tenacity, ingenuity, and collective will had redefined the rules of engagement. Fear, once a tool, now became an unavoidable companion. Respect, long denied, was unavoidable, and as the flagship shuddered under relentless assault, Elder Karin recorded in solemn certainty, the humans were beyond subjugation. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species whose resolve could reshape the fate of the galaxy itself. The void pulsed with the echoes of their triumph, yet the battle was not over. Humanity's next move would determine the final balance, and the Alien Council could only watch, awed and fearful, as the storm pressed forward. The void was quiet now, a heavy silence that stretched across shattered fleets and scorched orbits. Smoke and debris drifted through the remnants of battle, illuminated by distant stars that had witnessed the impossible. Alien sensors recorded the devastation, yet the pattern defied interpretation. Humanity, battered but unbroken, had endured where no one had expected survival, let alone victory. From the observation decks of Zhar'Vek, Elder Karin scanned the aftermath. Segmented eyes reflected burning wrecks, twisted hulls, and fractured command nodes. Yet amidst the ruin, human ships floated intact, crewed, operational, and ready. The Council had long prided itself on certainty, on the predictive power of numbers and algorithms. But here, all calculations had failed. Every projection of dominance had been shattered. They defined their own fate, Karin murmured, antennae trembling. His voice echoed through the chamber, vibrating with awe and apprehension. Across the Council, even the most rigid leaders acknowledged the truth. Humans were exceptional, a species whose ingenuity, courage, and willpower had rewritten the rules of cosmic engagement. Reports from across the galaxy began to trickle in. Observers and minor colonies spoke in hushed tones of the humans' audacity, of fleets outmaneuvering larger forces, of improvised defenses that turned desperation into advantage. Tales spread quickly. Humans had transformed loss into opportunity, chaos into strategy, and adversity into triumph. The legends, once expected to be cautionary tales, were now chronicles of unparalleled resilience. Alien councils, previously unyielding, began to recalibrate their narratives. Where fear had dominated, awe now took root. Discussions once centered on suppression, domination, and control now revolved around observation, respect, and cautious deference. Humans were no longer a species to be underestimated. They had become a standard by which all others would be measured. Field reports described human reconstruction with the same efficiency and purpose that had guided them through combat. Damaged vessels were repaired, civilian networks reinforced military infrastructure, and communication lines expanded beyond previous capacity. Each action reflected foresight, coordination, and a relentless drive to prepare for the unknown challenges yet to come. Elder Karin recorded in his final log, humanity's victories were not merely tactical, they were philosophical. Their strength lay not in numbers or firepower, but in an unyielding spirit, a collective will that could endure, adapt, and triumph against the most formidable odds. The alien councils recognized an uncomfortable truth. This species could not be coerced, constrained, or predicted, only observed, respected, and, when necessary, feared. Across the galaxies, the whispers grew into legend. Humans had become an enigma, a species whose capabilities defied conventional logic. Every interaction, every confrontation, had left observers with the same conclusion. This was a force beyond replication, a species whose survival and ingenuity had altered the hierarchy of power itself. And as humanity rebuilt, looking toward the stars with quiet determination, the alien observers understood that the galaxy would never be the same. Their caution, their calculations, and their doctrines had all been tested and found wanting. Humans had proven that even in the face of insurmountable odds, the indomitable power of will could shape reality itself. The void settled into a tentative calm. Yet beneath the silence, the echo of humanity's defiance resonated. The galaxy watched, silently acknowledging that a new standard had been set. This species, once considered insignificant, had become an enduring testament to resilience, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit. And in the stillness, Elder Karin's final thought lingered, "They have survived. They have triumphed, and we have witnessed the impossible."